And if you look at the teams that will play basketball in the Olympics, men's basketball, America, we have 330 million people, and Japan has 126 million people. And then there's like Italy with 60 million and Germany with 83, and Nigeria has over 200 million people, and Spain's got 50 million people, and Argentina's got 46, 45 million people, and Slovenia has 2. And Luka has carried them to the Olympics, and they beat Lithuania. Now think about that. Lithuania has put 14 guys in the NBA. Lithuania, after maybe Spain, I mean, you talk about international basketball powers. Us, Lithuania, Spain, it is a short list, and they beat them. Or should I say, Luka beat them. What's really fascinating about this, Luka came into this league at 20 and averaged 21 points a game. He's now to 29, and his efficiency numbers better every year. He is, along with LeBron and Magic Johnson, the best 22-year-old basketball player I've ever seen in my life. And this just doubles down on the fact that Mark Cuban has got real pressure on him. He's already fired his coach, and he's already fired his general manager. Now he's got to find him a player. And this is not like Dirk Nowitzki, and I'll tell you why. Because, first of all, Dirk wasn't this good this early. Second of all, Dirk was a more agreeable personality, not as feisty. The other thing was, when Dirk Nowitzki entered the NBA, it was different. And this was something that was discussed in the league. International players, even if they were good, kind of considered themselves, visitors to America. They played basketball, but they didn't like to demand trades. International players, that wasn't the game. They came to the States, they play for a team, and they wanted to be, great citizens and great teammates. But it's changed now. International players have a lot of pull, and they're unbelievably talented, and they're going to let you hear their opinion, as they should. So Luka, not only by international player standards, by basketball player standards, has an opinion and wants to win now. And he's so great now, you can't worry about drafting people around him. He's too good. These guys like Trae Young and Luka, they're not going to sit around and wait for some kid from Creighton or Gonzaga to get good. You got to put stars around him. And Luka, unlike Dirk, isn't just going to be a good guy and develop and take one for the team and wait till he gets it's not going to work that way. You are looking at the best young player in the world, Luka Doncic, the best young basketball player in the world that just got Slovenia past Lithuania. The only thing I can even compare it to, and it's probably a poor comparison, and I'm old enough to have seen it, is when Larry Bird carried Indiana State into the championship game against Magic Johnson and Michigan State. Michigan State was a basketball power. Head coach, Judd Heathcote. It was Magic Johnson. They had another player, Greg Kelsey or Greg Kelser. I forget the name of the player. Michigan State had really good players. And Larry Bird took Indiana State, the Sycamores, I think they're still called that. I'm not sure if it's still a university. Larry Bird took them to the championship. And it was like, what? I remember the baby blue uniforms. They had the weird Indiana State logo. It was like, what? This was a what? That's how good Luka is. And so I do think Mark Cuban, new coach, new GM, understands the urgency with this. But it's a remarkable story. Can you imagine New Mexico? Get the best players in New Mexico, compete against the world, and they would get into the Olympics. It's insane, the accomplishment. Luka talked about winning a gold medal or an NBA championship.
What would mean more to you, a gold medal with the Team Slovenia or NBA championship with the man?
I would say gold medal with Slovenia. You play for your country, and that's something that really, but I wouldn't mind both.
Yeah, either with Mark Cuban. So that's a story to keep your eye on. Coming up next on a Monday, the a franchise player. But short-term in a series, situationally, got to be honest, Milwaukee's offense without him for a couple of games against Atlanta was smoother. The ball movement was excellent. This happens all the time. It's not just Giannis. You get to the playoffs and basketball changes. The officials let more go. That's hurt James Harden. Karl Malone, players who needed the whistle. They were great players that you'd love to have in your franchise. But sometimes there was a better teammate in a moment in the playoffs than Malone or James Harden, maybe on the same roster, right? And the Bucks have fallen into a trap. All right, Giannis is our best athlete. He's our best player. So we've got to get the ball. He's got to be playing late. And that's just not the truth. He's your best defensive player. He's your great rim protector. He's unbelievable in transition. But in the half-court offense, sometimes he gets in the way. Drew Holiday needs his space. Chris Middleton needs to know he can be the number one guy and not worry about getting it to Giannis. That's what Charles Barkley talked about. Got some pushback, but I think he's actually right.
I hate to say this. I think the best thing happened to the Milwaukee Bucks was Giannis getting hurt. Because they have unleashed Drew Holiday, the aggressive Drew Holiday. I think he's going to be fantastic in the finals against Chris Paul, as much as I love Chris Paul. If Giannis is 85 to 90%, I'm going to go with Milwaukee.
Now, I like Phoenix. I think they have the better coach. I think they're healthier. They're more rested. They have home court advantage. And they have clearly defined roles. Chris Paul is the setup guy. Devin Booker's the scorer. DeAndre Ayton's the pick-and-roll guy with Chris. Jay Crowder's the 3-and-D guy. You get the same style, the same production, the same efficiency, the same urgency every night. I like Phoenix rather quickly in the series. But there's something to be said if Giannis was 80% and you didn't play him quite as much, it would let Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday flourish. And I think there's an argument to be made. What we know about these playoffs, when basketball becomes situational, half-court offense really important, who can hurt their team? Westbrook, Simmons, and Giannis can't shoot. You need shot makers. That's why Chris Middleton actually, situationally, late in games, is a better player for the Bucks than Giannis. Now, over the course of a season, Giannis gets you so many easy baskets. He's such a great defender. He's so good in transition. You don't coach the same way. You know, your team flies into town. You especially this year in a condensed year, you watch an hour of film. It's really difficult to prepare for the physical dimension of a Westbrook in his prime or a Giannis. But you get into situational half-court basketball, and Chris Middleton, he's the guy that worries me. It's not Giannis. I'd love Giannis to shoot, and then I'll foul him and put him at the free throw line late. So I like Phoenix over Milwaukee, but I think it's something. It's not a criticism of Giannis. It is a reality of life. We know you got to eat your vegetables, but some hot days you just want a beer or ice cream. We know you put in the 401k, but sometimes for the family's sake, dad's all stressed out, just go on a big vacation. SUVs are more valuable in the north, but a convertible's better on like 30 days. And I look at Giannis and I think sometimes when he's off the floor, it's weird to say, two-time MVP, they're better offensively. Ball moves better. Middleton feels empowered. Drew Holiday feels empowered. But I'll still take Phoenix. So this is a real thing. I don't talk about Slovenia basketball much. They have 2 million people. They're the size of New Mexico. They have never made the Olympics. It is a tiny